What's Randy's reaction been to that?
I was lucky. I was really nervous when I trained Randy for Nogueira because I thought this guy's gonna either hate me or love me, but I'm not gonna change who I am. And he loved me. I didn't want to stroke Randy. I didn't want to tell him because he's Randy Couture, like, you know, attaboy, you're doing a good job, to be his friend. I wanted to be his coach. I didn't want to be his friend. So I would do certain things to get in his head. I would frustrate him. I would antagonize him. I would do whatever I had to get the result I needed to. And there's days he would punch the mat because I wanted him to go harder, and he wasn't hitting me hard, or he wasn't being tight enough, and I'd be like, you gotta get harder. Instead of me saying, you just gotta keep saying that, I'll insult him a little bit, or I'll put a submission on him and crank him, or, you know, do something and antagonize him, and then all of a sudden, he's a very good competitor, so he gets pissed, and he'll fight me, and everything gets tighter, and then at the end I'm like, do you see the difference? You see how you won now, and before you were losing, because all of a sudden you showed him more balls, and it starts to click, and then it's like that all the time rather than just once in a while. So he turns it on all the time, and that's a certain type of conditioning. If you ever been like in a street fight when you're a kid, you see how quick you get tired because you're using all this violent energy that you're not thinking. Well, during a fight, you're doing the same thing. You see certain guys that they go for a submission or they throw a combination, they gas themselves out because they get hurt, they try to do something violent really quick, and their body's not conditioned for that high. They're in great shape, but they can't excel that high, you know. And if you do that in training, your body gets used to it, and it will peak naturally. So we do that in training. So Randy, he can dish it out, but I wasn't too sure how it was going to go. And luckily, he's a competitor, and it doesn't always go that way. I've trained guys, high-level fighters, and I've trained that method, and they quit. They break, and they get off the mat, and they don't want to train with me again. So I'm not suited for everybody. But
is it not a risk when you're training like that? Is there not a risk of like breaking your fighters up physically, like
no,
getting injured and stuff? No.
I'm not going to break someone's arm or leg. I'll put you to sleep, but I won't break anything. You know, it's not worth it. No, I'll never cut a guy. I'm very careful. It's intelligent violence.
So it's more of mental toughness you're looking
at?
Yeah,
it's mental toughness and it's physical toughness, but it's not like I'm seeing how long they can hold getting armbarred, you know, something stupid. And what I'm trying to do is just create a really offensive mindset, a real fighter's mindset rather than a sparring partner mindset. And you have to spar hard, you know. But no, I've never had a problem with guys getting things broken. If I'm trying to prove a point to a guy and he doesn't want to listen, I'll put him to sleep. But that's not a big deal, you know. Because I don't think it's a big deal.
I heard also that like your system and your philosophy, there's going to be a book or two coming out about it.
Yeah, my first book is just about done. I've been working on it for a while. It's under Victory Belt. All my books will be under Victory Belt Publishing. I mean, they kind of make the best books, if you ask me.
They've done like, they just did what, Greg Jackson recently and Anderson.
Yeah, exactly. My first book, we might change the title at the last minute, but right now it's entitled Triangles from the Guard. And it's a huge book. It's Victory Belt's biggest book.
What's it about?
Triangles.
From the Guard?
Yeah, from the Guard. But actually it's a little more in depth than that. I put a lot of thought in specializing on the guard because I kind of felt it was one area of fighting that required the most technique because of the position in MMA and the fact that you can't necessarily use size and strength in there like you could on a top position. And I started to come up with a lot of things and figuring a lot of things out. And I started to realize that there's a lot of different guard systems that you see. Some people teach certain ones, and what I try to do is I teach them all. And I stress certain ones more than others because that's what I'm good at, those particular systems. Other ones I'm not so good at, I teach them, I'm like, you know, there's probably better guys you can train at than me. And I started to realize, depending on the fighter you're fighting, what kind of fighter you are, there's basically two types of systems you need to know. You need to know a trapping system, and you need an open guard system. If he's anywhere in between, if he's hovering at like a 45 position, you don't need a whole lot of setup. You can use timing-based techniques. You can grab a wrist, a collar tie. If a guy's just hovering at me, a collar tie is probably one of the best tools you can use. Overhook's great, stuff like that. But if he's hard to control and he's pounding on you, you might want to use a trapping system. If he's controlling and pinning you and you can't trap him and do anything good with it, you want to use an open guard system. And you have to know, you don't have to know all the open guard systems or all the trapping systems, but you got to know a couple on how to blend them together. So what I did in the triangle book is I started off showing all the triangles that I learned and used from the hovering position, all the timing-based tech, all the easy money ones, the quick ones. And then I broke them down to trapping systems. And basically, I have a kind of like a degree marker, where if he's down on top of you, I call it 0 degrees. Okay, and all the trapping systems from there. Okay, all the guard systems and all the triangles you get from there. Okay, and then I have him at 90 degrees sitting on his heels, almost like in a sitting position. And that's 90 degrees, and it'd be like a sit-up guard kind of approach to it. Now he's hovering forward, he's driving forward, but his butt is off his heels. He's not sitting down. Then it'd be like a side scissor and all the side scissor type systems, okay? And then now he is completely postured out, butt is off his heels, 90 degrees up. Now that's what I use K control on a lot of different reverse body lock type systems. And basically I show how these will move and how, of course, of the fight. And I also have, butterfly guard, half guard, all the triangles from there. And basically when you read the book, you can read it as a course of a fight. That everything is on a succession of failure. If I fail at this, then I go to this, and if I fail at that, I go to this. So at the end of it, you're gonna learn a lot. Plus, I go into all the physics of the anatomy of the choke and how to finish it when the arm's on the mat or if the hand's in certain positions. And I have some different triangle chokes that not many people have seen. At least when I teach it, they don't seem to know it. I call them senkakus, which is a Japanese word which means triangle. It's from the judo world. And I was trained by a lot of judo guys, so I'll show you how I set those up from guard. They're a little different, and I worked with Vito Belfort. I was showing him senkakus from K control, and he loved it. That was his favorite thing that I was teaching him. So there's a lot of different stuff you're going to see in this book that might be really new to you, but I can back it all up.
Are these like high percentage things, or?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in the book, I will say like most everything is stuff that I used before. But there's certain things I'll say, look, this is going to get you better results. Like I'm very honest. Like I'll be like, this technique is like, I use it once in a while, but it doesn't really give me good results. Or say, hey, I'm not good at this, but I have no other guys that are, so I put it in here. So I'm very honest about that. I don't like telling people or making up stuff. I am very, very honest about it. So it's a very scientific book, and I don't think I'd have many critics on it. I'm a very open-minded guy, and I'm not telling anyone how to do anything. I'm just giving them good advice. And this is kind of the platform for my next book. My next book is going to be a 2-part book, and it's Advanced Guard Systems. And the first book will be all trapping systems. And basically, the triangle book, all you're learning is the triangles from the trapping systems. Each system is systematic. There's a certain rules. Like when you're in shoulder pin, if he's on a certain hip, these are the rules. If you're on the other hip, these are the rules. And those are rules based on how you get high precision results, arm bars or whatever it may be. And then it's open guard systems. So there's going to be 2 books, and I'm signed to do a guillotine book as well. But you're going to probably have to give me a couple of years on getting that one out too. So there is a book coming out soon called The Ultimate Mixed Martial Artist. And they brought in a lot of fighters. They brought in like Nogueira, Anderson Silva, Randy, like Forrest Griffin, a lot of guys. And they did a stand-up book, and that's going to be out by Christmas. And they did a ground book. And I have about 70 techniques in that book, so it's a lot of me in there. And I teach strikes in the guard in there, and actually something I actually do teach very well is how to actually punch inside the guard and things like that. So I'll be in that book. I'm just not writing it, so I don't know exactly when it's going to be out.
And when does Triangles from the Guard hit stores?
Well, last time I talked to Erich Brauss, I did pretty much it's almost done. I just got to get the cover made, and it's got to go to the editor. So it's probably going to be January or February the latest, but it's been worth the wait. I'm really happy. I'm really proud of it. And I just did a deal with iPhone, where if you have an iPhone, you can get there's going to be an application, and for a couple bucks, I don't know how much money, you can get like a 20 or 30 minute clip of me teaching either a technique or a system or a concept, and I'm doing filming for that next week. So the guy that's in charge of that planned on turning it around pretty quick, so I would say that's going to be out pretty soon.
That's pretty cool.
So that's pretty much what I got going on right now.
Cool.